"Want to help?" "Don't touch me." Lauren said it over her shoulder, cabinet door still open, the spoon in her hand tapping the edge of the pot like a metronome. No eye contact. No hesitation. Just a clean slice. I leaned on the counter. "That's a new rule." "It's a rule for tonight," she answered, shutting the cabinet. "Figure it out." If I'd known where that line was headed, I would have cleared the calendar and put up traffic cones around my life. I tried again. "You've been cold for weeks. Did I miss something? Work? Your mom? You and I?" "Jason," she cut in. "If you want to help, stop hovering." I stepped back. "Copy that." She went back to stirring. I put my hands in my pockets and watched the steam rise like it had somewhere else to be. The next evening, I tried this soft route. I poured wine, set plates, lit a candle I found in a drawer. We ate in the quiet hum of the dishwasher. I told her I could handle her dry cleaning run and the tires on her car. She picked at salad, chewed slow, and scrolled through her phone. "You're somewhere else," I said, pushing my chair back. "I can tell." "I'm tired," she replied. "From what?" "From explaining." "So you agree there's something to explain?" She stood, collected her plate, and walked it to the sink. "You make everything a meeting," she tossed over her shoulder. "Let it breathe." "Let what breathe?" "Our marriage." She turned the water on full. "Don't do drama." I offered help. I said, keeping my tone flat. "You swatted me like a fly." "You're sensitive lately," she said. "It's not attractive." I pulled the wine cork out a little farther just to have something to do with my hands. Attractive isn't the metric. Respect is. She laughed once. "You're giving a TED talk in our kitchen." "Fine," I answered. "New rules. I won't push for talks. I'll give space. And I'll stop trying to guess what you need." "Finally," she said, lifting her glass. "Progress." That night, I started living my new rules. No checking in. No gentle reminders. I set my alarm earlier, hit the gym before work, and stayed late in the shop afterward. I stopped preloading her week. Her calendar was now her project. 2 days later, I ran into her sister at the grocery store. Paige was in line with a basket of vegetables and a grin she didn't hide. "You look leaner," she said, eyeing me up and down. "Stress diet or actual gym?" "Actual," I replied. She leaned closer. "If Lauren keeps freezing you out, there's a whole city that would say thank you." "Not my game," I told her. "I'm married." "Keyword is I," she said, paying and touching my arm for exactly 1 second longer than needed. "You're the only one behaving like it." "Paige," I said, stepping aside so the next person could move. "No double lives." "I hear you," she replied, walking toward the door. "I'll try not to run into you again by accident." She winked. I said try. I walked to my truck with a bag of coffee and the echo of that wink. I filed it under noise, because that's what you do when you're trying to save face at home. At work, my crew noticed I'd gone quiet. Nate, my lead, dropped onto the stool in my office with a sandwich and that look older brothers wear when they're about to meddle. "You good?" he asked, unwrapping the plastic. "I'm fine," I said. "False," he said, taking a bite. "You're turning wrenches like they owe you money." I shrugged. "House is weird." "Want me to run interference if she swings by?" I waved him off. "She won't." She did that afternoon. Walked in like she owned the building and didn't even pretend she was there to say hi. "I need you to transfer me 1,000, she said at the counter, voice cool, eyes on the clipboard where customers sign. "For what?" I asked, staying behind the counter on purpose. "Don't do that," she replied. "Just send it." "We're adults," I said. "We talk numbers like adults." "What's the expense?" "It's mine," she said. "Why is this hard?" Nate looked at me, then looked away, then looked at the clock very loudly. I kept it simple. "Starting today, we're on a shared spreadsheet. Bills and joint plans go on it. Personal treats don't." She smiled, but it wasn't a nice one. "You're setting allowances now?" "I'm setting structure," I replied. "I'm not an ATM. If this is urgent, give me the category. If it's a want, it waits until we talk." "Wow," she said, flipping her hair, which she never did. "Your shop air makes you brave." "It makes me clear," I answered. "That's the rule." She held my gaze for a beat, then slid her phone into her bag. "Forget it. Already done," I said. She spun to leave, then pivoted back. "Don't embarrass me next time." "You came here," I replied, my palm flat on the counter. "In front of my crew. You brought the theater." I closed the stage. She left without another word. As the door swung shut, Nate whistled soft. "Boundary," he said. "I can smell it." That night Lauren made chicken, which she hates cooking, and set the table like we were hosting a magazine shoot. She even brought me a beer and asked about the shop. It was too neat to be random. "This looks good," I said, cutting into the dish. "I know I've been distant," she said, eyes on her plate. "Work's been a lot." "If you want a night to yourself, take it," I said. "I won't chase you around the house." She nodded. "Thanks." 20 minutes later, she inched her chair closer and put a hand on my shoulder like we'd rehearsed it. "I'm trying," she said. "Good," I answered neutral. "Me too." She watched me for a tell. I kept my cards close. We ate. We cleared. She played nice until bedtime and then rolled away without a word. So that wasn't a truce. It was a test. Before dawn, I packed a small duffel and left for the shop early. If she wanted space, I'd give her actual space. Not punishment, structure. 3 nights later, I came home past 9. I'd stayed to close with Nate and then grabbed a burger with him and our neighbor friend, Darlene, who teaches at the middle school and talks like every sentence has a grade. When I opened our front door, I heard Lauren's voice down the hall. She was on the phone, but her tone wasn't the work vent tone or the catch up with mom tone. It was an organized whisper, the kind you use when you're handing out instructions. "I'll time it for his birthday," she was saying. "No, it'll land better that way. He'll be surrounded. He won't make a scene." I put my keys down without sound. "Look, the house is community property in this state. Don't worry, I've got someone who knows the forms. Yes, the accounts too. He'll fold if it's public." My jaw didn't move. I took out my phone and hit record. The hallway light painted the floor in a narrow stripe. I stood in it and listened. "He's being all, 'let's fix it,'" she went on. "It's pathetic." "Exactly. I'm done. I want it tidy. And I want him to feel it." A laugh from the other side of the call. Lauren laughed back. "No, I won't tell him. Why would I? And if he whines, I'm going for moral damages. He's a busy boy, he'll survive." The call went on. I got half. Enough. I slipped the phone into my pocket, stepped back into the living room, and raised my voice like a neighbor calling over a fence. "Hey, I'm home." Instant silence. Then the pat of her feet. Fast. She came out with her face set to neutral. "You're late," she said. "Shop ran long." I answered, slipping off my jacket. "You good?" "Just tired," she said. "I'm going to shower." "All right." She went down the hall without asking a single question she'd ask any other night. No, "How was your day?" No, "Who were you with?" No, "Do you want anything?" Just water running, then a bedroom lamp snapping off. I sat at the kitchen table with the stale smell of the sandwich bag she left open and looked at the black square of my phone screen. I played the clip once with the sound low. I didn't flinch. Then I put the phone face down and opened my laptop. At 8 the next morning, I sat across from an attorney at a simple wooden table. He listened, didn't blink, asked for the recording, scrolled my bank numbers, and took a few notes. "Do I file first?" I asked. He shook his head. "No. You accept whatever she hands you. Don't argue. Bring it to me. Keep living normally. Keep receipts. Keep your cool." "She wants to do it at a party," I said. "My birthday." He shrugged like he'd seen the play 100 times. "Then you already know where and when. Get your own housing now. Quietly. Move essentials. Don't be dramatic. Be boring. And stop funding anything that isn't documented." "Done," I said. He slid a plain white folder across the table. "Start a log. Times, dates, requests. If she escalates, write it down. Don't escalate back." "I'm not interested in chaos," I told him. "I'm interested in accuracy." He smiled. "Then you'll be fine." By midnight, I had a month-to-month rental on the other side of town, a different mailbox, and my toolboxes moved under the cover of me, helping a friend storage-wise. I left the guest room at home crisp so she wouldn't sniff around. Then I changed my schedule. I started eating out. I stopped pretending. The next afternoon, I bumped into Paige at a coffee spot. She had that same grin like mischief was a hobby. "You look like a man with a plan," she said. "Clarity looks like sleep," I replied. She reached for my sleeve. "You sure you don't want company on that plan?" "I'm not the guy who runs 2 tracks," I told her. I meant it. "Understood," she said, and she actually did. Then she tilted her head. "If that changes, I'm not hard to find." Noted. Saturday, a group of us from the neighborhood met at a bar for trivia night. Different territory. I showed up late on purpose. Lauren had driven separately. She was already there with her friends on one side of the table and my buddy Dan and his wife on the other. "Look who made time," Lauren announced when I stepped in. Celebrity appearance. I hung my jacket on my chair. "Traffic." She smirked. He's been very busy lifting weights for the mirror. Priorities. Dan glanced at me. I sipped water. The mirror's the only thing that claps when I get home, I said. I bring my own crowd. A couple chuckles. She didn't like that. We played 2 rounds. Every answer I offered, she sanded down in public. No, Jason, it's not that. No, Jason, that's not even close. No, Jason, we've got it. By round 3, I put my pen down and folded my arms. Quick statement, I said to the table. If jokes are only going one way, I'm pulling my chair. I'm here to relax. Her friend Teresa rolled her eyes. Oh, please. Not asking, I replied. Stating. Lauren leaned in. You're sensitive. Again. No, I said. I'm selective. There's a difference. I stood, dropped a 20 for my share, and nodded to Dan. Good luck with the lightning round. I walked out. I didn't slam a door or throw a word. I left. At the rental, I made a list. Bank accounts, already separated. Tools, already moved. Truck title, locked up. Photos of valuables, saved. Party RSVP, still on. I set my own timer. 2 weeks. The next day, Lauren came in soft. Hair brushed, voice low, a hand on my shoulder. She slid into my morning like we were back to year 1. I overdid it last night, she said. Everyone was teasing. I followed. You're an adult. I replied, buttering toast. You choose your jokes. She tried again. Let me make it up tonight. We can do dinner. Your choice. And I'll plan something nice for your birthday. You deserve that. I'm free, I said. Schedule it. She blinked. She was expecting a sermon. I gave her a calendar. That night she poured me a drink, put on music I like, and laughed at everything I said like a sitcom audience. It was thick. It also wasn't for me. It was rehearsal for guests. After she went to bed, I moved 2 more boxes to the rental, documents and backups. I texted Nate to cover Saturday morning. I texted Paige back, thanks for the coffee talk. She replied with a smile, and it don't get boring on me. My birthday rolled in with a clear sky and a house dressed like a brochure. Lauren hustled all day. Balloons, a charcuterie board big enough for a wedding, and a grin so wide it creaked. She floated, kissed my cheek when someone was watching, and stacked plates like she was auditioning for Saintly Spouse of the Year. Friends filled the place. Neighbors, guys from the shop, my cousin Matt who never misses free food, Lauren's circle, her parents, and Paige in a red dress that understood lighting. She caught my eye and smiled like she knew the punchline to a joke nobody else did. Birthday man. Dan slapped my back. You look relaxed. I slept, I said. Darlene handed me a card and squeezed my arm. Proud of you, she whispered. Whatever you're doing. Paige drifted over with a cupcake on a tiny plate. Make a wish, she said. Pick something realistic. I lowered my voice. I want a quiet life with direct sentences. She laughed. That's not realistic, but I respect the hustle. Lauren moved through the room topping drinks. Perfect posture, soft laughs. Every few minutes her eyes cut to me, measuring. I made small talk, kept my smile easy, and didn't volunteer a single piece of myself that she could use. My phone buzzed. Nate, you good? I texted back a thumbs up and a time, 8:30. At 8:15 Lauren clinked a glass with a spoon. The room turned. She stepped into the center like she'd rehearsed it. She lifted her arms halfway, palms out, like a preacher asking the crowd to settle. Thank you, everyone, she started. Jason deserves to be celebrated. He's worked hard. He's stubborn. He's Jason. Polite laughs. She looked at me, eyes soft, voice syrup. We've had ups and downs, like everyone. This last year has been instructive. I could see her parents straighten. Paige crossed her arms and watched my face. And because we value truth and living authentically, Lauren continued, I want to be honest in front of the people who matter. I've made a decision. Jason and I will be going our separate ways. You could hear the room try not to gasp. She held the beat like a pro. There's paperwork, she added lightly, as if she was announcing dessert. It's nothing dramatic. It's just the right thing. For both of us. She reached into a paper folder on the console behind her and pulled out a stack. I brought what's needed. We can be civilized. Paige leaned to my ear, so close her whisper warmed it. Sign it, so we can finally have dinner. Exactly what I'm going to do, I whispered back. Lauren turned to me, smiling like a host on a daytime show. Do you want to say anything? Just this, I said, stepping forward. I took the papers from her hand, flipped through to confirm what I already knew, and slid them into the inside pocket of my jacket. Then I faced the room. Thanks for coming, I said. Eat, drink, enjoy the night. We'll handle the logistics. Lauren blinked. That wasn't the script. You need to sign. I'll accept them, I said, tapping the pocket. Then I'll take them to the proper place in the morning. Her smile stiffened. We can do this now. No, I answered calm. We can't. Silence. Then Paige's hand brushed mine. I turned, offered her my arm, and she took it without theatrics. I looked back at Lauren. You wanted honesty in front of the people who matter. Here it is. And what is that supposed to mean? She asked, voice thin. It means I'm done being the only grown-up, I replied. Thank you for the party. Paige squeezed my arm. Ready? Let's go, I said. We walked out to a chorus of stunned stares and one muffled, wow from Matt. The door clicked shut behind us like a judge's stamp. We drove to a small Italian place across town that knows me by my truck more than my name. Paige picked a corner booth. We sat. The server handed us menus and then wisely vanished. She broke the quiet first. So, how are you this calm? I told her about the call I overheard, about the recording, the folder at the attorney's, the rules, the rental, the log. I told her about the budget, the bar, the soft performance over dinner. I kept it factual. She listened, eyes steady, only interrupting to ask for dates or check my wording. She planned to serve you tonight, she said finally. And you were already moved. Mostly, I said. The important stuff. Paige shook her head with a half smile that wasn't cruel, just clear. She thought she was staging a show. You canceled the theater. I'm not here to fight, I said. I'm here to end clean. She toyed with her napkin. I liked you before tonight. I like you more now. You're not messy. You're decisive. I'm not rushing anything, I told her. But I am done playing nice for people who confuse it with weakness. Good, she said. Because you're not weak. We ordered. We ate. We laughed at nothing heavy. When the check came, I paid. She didn't argue. Outside, she touched my shoulder. Text me when you're home, she said. And don't go back there. I've got a place, I replied. I'm not sleeping in a stage set. Good, she said again. Call me tomorrow. I didn't see Lauren for a week. I dropped the papers at the attorney's first thing the next morning. He flipped through and grinned the way a locksmith grins when he sees a cheap padlock. She overreached, he said. Bring me everything else you've logged. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. What about the house? I asked. You're fine, he answered. You'll be back in 2 months. Maybe less. I worked. I ate with friends. I went to the range with Dan, fished with my cousin, fixed Darlene's dryer as a favor. At night, I slept like a stone. Lauren sent 2 texts that week. The first, we need to talk about the bills. I replied with a screenshot of the spreadsheet and the note, log items there. The second, you disappeared. I sent back. I'm where I always am, on my calendar. She tried a third approach the following Friday. She showed up at my rental in a dress that remembered old days and asked to come in just to talk. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. Don't be rude, she said. I'm being clear, I replied. Say what you came to say. You made last weekend weird, she began. It was supposed to be adult. You tried to hand me a show, I said. I don't perform. You humiliated me. You scripted your own scene. She crossed her arms. Are you seeing my sister? I stared at the space between us. I'm not answering that. We're done. Act accordingly. She glanced up at the second-story window, like she could will it to show her someone. You'll regret this, she said. No, I replied. I won't. She left after 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I wrote down the time in the log, sent the line to my attorney, and put my phone away. Paige and I saw each other most nights after that. Dinner or a walk or a game on mute while we traded stories about dumb decisions from our 20s. She was light where Lauren had turned heavy, present where Lauren had gone vague. She also kept a respectful distance. She didn't try to move into my life. She let me stand on my own feet. 2 weeks in, news started to circulate. Teresa posted a photo from my party with a caption that only made her look unkind. Darlene shot it down with a comment about context. Dan called to say his wife told him Lauren's parents were furious. Not at me. At the theater. Lauren texted me once more. Maybe we can fix this. I answered with one line. You broke respect, not a plate. She didn't reply. On a Wednesday in early fall, my attorney called and told me to swing by. I stepped into his office and he handed me a thin stack. Congratulations, he said. House stays with you. Accounts since the split are yours. No surprises. Fast, I said. You made it easy, he replied. You didn't give me a mess. I drove to our old place with a copy of the paperwork in a manila envelope and the garage opener clipped to my visor. Lauren's car was already gone. The living room echoed when I walked in. She left the place clean because of course she did. Presentation was always her art. On the counter she'd left a single key, no note. Performative even on the way out. I walked the rooms. The house wasn't full or empty, it was just quiet. I opened the back door, stepped onto the patio, and breathed the evening in like normal air. Neighbors drifted over that week. Dan brought a cooler and his crooked grin. Darlene dropped off a pie and a hug that was quick and clean. Matt showed up with a box of tools he'd borrowed and never returned. You landed on your feet, Dan said. I aimed for them, I answered. Word traveled. The story got straight. Lauren tried to reach out twice with calls I didn't take and a final text. Can we at least meet and talk like adults? I sent the only sentence that mattered. We already did. She didn't try again. Paige and I kept our rhythm. Coffee on Saturdays. Dinner on Tuesdays if I wasn't buried in a project. She came to the shop one afternoon and asked real questions about what we were doing to an engine instead of pretending. She brought sandwiches to Nate and didn't flirt with him, which he appreciated loudly. One night she sat on the porch steps and looked at the street like she could see where it curved. You ever going to ask someone to move in again? She asked. Not this month, I said. But I'm not done with the idea. She nudged my leg with her foot. Good answer. I looked at her and let myself think 3 steps ahead. I could see it without forcing it. A small ceremony, her laugh in the kitchen, me not needing a stage to tell the truth because the truth would already be in the room. For now, I kept it simple. I fixed the guest room, not for guests but because order is my language. I took the truck out on a long drive Sunday morning and turned the radio low so I could hear the road. I registered for a charity ride, grabbed beers with the guys, replaced a busted mailbox for the neighbor without making a thing of it. I wasn't angry. I wasn't magnanimous. I was done. Clean lines, clear rules, and a house that didn't pretend to be anything it wasn't. The last time I thought about the exact moment the switch flipped, I was standing in the kitchen making coffee. Not special coffee, just coffee that does its job. The memory rolled in anyway. That line over the soup pot. Want to help? Don't touch me. She meant it as a jab. Turns out it was a permission slip. So I helped. I didn't touch the mess. I touched the exit. If there's a lesson I'd bother to pass on over a beer, it's short. You don't win by begging. You win by acting like a man who knows the cost of his own peace. When respect leaves, you don't bargain with it. You lock the door behind it, check your pockets, and drive to where your name still means something.